ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. On the video, we're going to talk about the next topics: the origins of ISIS, the group leaders, the funding, and the relationship with Al-Qaeda. The origin. The Islamic State of Iraq and Syria was preceded by the Islamic State of Iraq, ISI, that was established during October 2006. Comprised of various insurgent groups, most significantly the original Al-Qaeda organization in the land of the two rivers Aqi, led by Abu Musab al-Sarkawi and Jund al-Sahaba, soldiers of the Prophet's companion, which integrated the ISI. This insurgent group, which is the president of ISIS, flourished in the sectarian tensions that followed the US-led invasion of Iraq in 2003. The organization known as the ISIS was formed during April of 2013 and has involved in one of the main jihadist groups fighting government forces in Syria and Iraq, with Abu Omar al-Baghdadi, which real name is Hamad Dawood Mohammed Khalil al-Sai, as the group's emir. The Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, is a predominantly Sunni jihadist group that seeks to sow civil unrest in Iraq and the Levant with the aim of establishing a caliphate, which means a transnational Islamic state based on Sharia. The group emerged in the ashes of the US-led invasion to oust Saddam Hussein as Al-Qaeda in Iraq, Aqi, and the insurgency that followed provided it with fertile ground to wage a guerrilla war against coalition forces and their domestic allies. After a US-led counter-terrorist campaign and Sunni efforts to maintain local security in what was known as the Tribal Awakening, Aqi violence diminished from its peak in 2006 to 2007, but since the withdrawal of US forces in late 2011, the group has increased attacks on mainly Shiite targets, in what is seen as an attempt to reignite conflict between Iraq's Sunni minority in the Shiite-dominated government and the Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. Brigade violence in 2013 left nearly 8,000 civilian dead, making it Iraq's bloodiest year since 2008, according to the United Nations. Meanwhile, in 2012, the group adopted the new moniker ISIS, sometimes translated as Islamic State of Iraq and Levant, or ISIL, as an expression of its broadened ambition to its fighters have crossed into neighborhood. Syria challenged both the Assad regime and secular Islamist opposition group there. By June of 2014, the group's fighters have routed the Iraqi military into the major cities of Fallujah and Mosul and established territorial control and administrative structures on both sides of the Iraqi-Syrian border. ISIS has extensive financial resources as well as human capital. The exact number of men composing this organization is not precise. However, some studies calculate between 30,000 and 50,000 men. The group leaders. The first one is Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. He is claiming himself descent from the Islamic prophet Muhammad. His name Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi al-Husseini al-Qurashi. Abu Bakr, the name of the first caliph al-Baghdadi, equal to Baghdad. According to jihadist internet forums, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was born in Samarra, Iraq in 1971. His real name is Ibrahim al-Badri. He obtained a PhD in Islamic Studies from the Islamic University of Baghdad and an imam at mosques in Baghdad and Fallujah before he was detained by American forces on June 4th of 2004. After he was released 3 years later, he established the Sunni army militia and joined Al-Qaeda. He became the group's third in command following the death of Abu Omar al-Baghdadi. According to United States Department of Defense records, al-Baghdadi was held at a Camp Bucca as a civilian internee by U.S. forces Iraq from February until December of 2004, when he was recommended for release by a combined review and release board. On May of 2010, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi was appointed the new leader of the Islamic State of Iraq. In 2014, ISIS announced the establishment of the Caliphate. Al-Baghdadi was named the Caliph Ibrahim, and the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant was renamed as Islamic State IS. There was been much debate, especially across the Muslim world, about the legitimacy of these moves. On October of 2011, the U.S. State Department listed al-Baghdadi as a specially designed global terrorist and announced the reward up to $10 million for information leading to his capture or death. The other main leaders. 2. Abu Ayman al-Iraqi. Al-Iraqi is one of the main leaders of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, and a member of the organization's military council. He previously worked as a colonel in Iraq Air Defense Intelligence under Saddam Hussein, during which time he was nicknamed Abu Muhammad al-Suwaydawi. He was detained for 3 years in 2007. Following his release, he moved to Syria and he is currently commanding ISIS fighters in the cities of Idlib, Aleppo, and the mountains of Latakia. 3. Abu Ahmad al-Alwani, a former member of Saddam's army. Al-Alwani is currently a member of the ISIS military council. His real name is Walid Hassem al-Alwani. Abdul Rahman al-Bilawi. Al-Bilawi was one of the 4 members of the ISIS military council and former head of the group's Shura Council. Hailing from Al-Khalidiyah in Iraq's Anbar province, he was detained on January 27 of 2005 in the American military detention center Camp Bucca. He was later killed in Khalidiyah Anbar. His real name was Adnan Ismail Naing. Ahi Bark. Bark was former officer in Saddam's army, charged with handling the development of weapons. He was later imprisoned at Camp Bucca and joined Al-Qaeda after his release. Bark was reportedly the strongest ISIS commander in Syria up until his recent death. His real name was Amir Muhammad al-Khalifawi. Abu Fatima al-Jahaishi. Al-Jahaishi was initially in charge of the ISIS operations in southern Iraq before he moved to the northern Syria of Kirkuk. His real name is Nima Nayef al-Najori. The income. The main source of income for ISIS is the oil, since it controls key areas of the oil industry. The organization is financed from oil revenues from wells that handles mainly in Iraq and Syria, which sold in the black market dealers, entrepreneurs, or refineries at prices cheaper than those that for in the market. In Syria, for example, removing 70,000 barrels a day, which sold at a price ranging from $26 to $35, about $2.45 million a day, that represents $73.5 million a month. A year are 882 the millions of American currency flowing into the coffers of the violent extremists that knows planet. Only in concept of oil. In addition, the involvement of several governments in the purchase of oil, as the European countries or even Syria, have helped in some way to financing this terrorist group. On the other hand, this terrorist group is also financed by extorting citizens from sites that occupy, forcing them to pay taxes, give goods or products, and pay tolls to cross from town to town. The main victims are the Christian minorities. Abductions are another of the economic resources of the criminal organization. They have kidnapped dozens of people, millionaires rescues, or again, the governments of the countries to which they belong. The governments that does not pay, hostage that dies, executed or beheaded. The year of 2014 is still a year of exceptional financially for ISIS, since after the Mosul conquest, the group has approximately $430 million in a central bank, with which ISIS became the most wealthy terrorist organization in the world, beating out Al-Qaeda. According to the Council of Foreign Relations and published in the Financial Times, ISIS demanding revolutionary taxes business in Mosul before even of his recent capture generating about $8 million of monthly income. According to The Guardian, the capture of computers and other computer files provided valuable information to the finances of ISIS that prior to the invasion of Mosul had about $875 million in cash and other assets, but after the conquest of the second largest city of Iraq, would have increased their wealth in additional $1.5 million. The advantage of the strike of Islamic is that, unlike Al-Qaeda, is not dependent on external grants. Only 5% of its revenues are philanthropic contributions, i.e. receives donations of Islamic charitable organizations and powerful, Muslim-rich scattered around the world. These donations often come from Saudi donors who do not get their money through private donations via Kuwait. Finally, we see that this group is financed from extortion, hostage, oil, and donations. With this, the ISIS group has military material heavy as tanks and helicopters, and they buy weapons on the black market and advantage in technology, training, and recruitment. In this sense, in short words, the horror is financed with horror and violence. Oil, main source of income, remains the goal of its territorial expansion, and the massacre, destruction, and terrorism, the method for submitting to their dictates of barbarians to civilization. Relationship with Al-Qaeda. ISIS has grown in force. The objective is the group about be it a caliphate under their control has expanded. At the beginning of 2013, they say, "We're going to absorb al-Nusra." The declaration provoked a clash between both, and they were part of to Al-Qaeda. The leader of Al-Qaeda, Ayman Zawahiri, tried to find a reconciliation between both, but it was impossible, so he ignorizes. When he didn't obey about state and realized their task only into Iraq. The first reason of this separation, according to the leaders, is the strong violence of ISIS, also the different strategies and ideologies. ISIS attacked after break with Al-Qaeda. ISIS has had success about the militias Shiites considered by Sunnis as worse and disgusting in Syria and Iraq. This group has thousands of foreign soldiers to his rows, which allows them to continue his struggle against the Nusra. That isn't to be confused with Al-Qaeda's central global network that was behind 9/11 and is headed by Ayman al-Zawahiri. The repudiation of Islamic State of Iraq and Syria came after these facts. An Al-Qaeda statement said that ISIS as stubborn and insensate and unconnected teamwork. The Central Al-Qaeda recognized like parts of itself to Al-Qaeda in the Arabic Peninsula. Aqba, Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, AQMI, the Somali group Al-Shabaab from the front of Nusra, and the powerful subsidiary in Iraq. On the other hand, the organizations associated with Al-Qaeda are the Movement of the Unit and the Jihad in Western Africa, Boko Haram, Tehrik, et Taliban Pakistan, Laxarar, et Toiba, Yema Islamiyya Abu Sayyaf, and the Caucaso Emirate. That's all. Thank you for your attention. We hope you enjoyed it.